So today, so I'll be conducting at most 3 lessons with you. So first one is the people in information systems. That's the first lesson that I'm going to tell you. Now, if you take information systems, so there are certain components in information systems. For example, now if you take an information system, there are hardware, software, procedures, database or data, communication, as well as people. People is one component of information systems. And this component is the discussion today. So we will be discussing the information systems people component. So while I'm doing my lesson, if you have questions, you can ask, and meanwhile, you can put anything in the chat so we can just track down whatever you are really whatever you are going to ask about. The people in information systems, first one. So I hope you can see my screen. Then, okay. So when you take, if you take these different components anyway, people should be there to get something out for information systems. Otherwise, you cannot operate with information systems if there are no people to do some operations and create these information systems. So now when you come to this, the learning objectives in this lesson series, or in this lesson mainly describe each of the different roles that people play in design, development, and use of information systems. Then understand the different career paths available to those who work with information systems. Explain the importance of where the information system functions is placed in an organization. And describe the different types of users of information systems. So today, the learning objectives are going to be mainly who are the people who play different roles in design, development. So people who actually develop the information systems and how you can just progress towards different career paths. And also how you just manage the function of the information system, how you arrange it to be functioning without issues, and describe the different types of users of information systems. Okay, so today we move on with this. And when you take people, there are different people involved in creating information systems. So you can see people are all involved in information systems in just about every way. People imagine information systems. So what is meant by imagining information systems? What do you mean by imagining? Now, if you take a business owner or company, a company needs to mainly a company needs to think of or imagine what kind of an information system is necessary for their survival or to improve their operations. That is what we call people imagine information systems. So if you take Facebook, that is also an information system, something that was imagined by another fellow. If you take eBay, Amazon, if you take PickMe, Uber, all these are imaginations of people. So they imagine and try to activate or try to do something. And also they develop information systems, right? So they imagine information systems and also they develop information systems. Also, people support information systems. The supporting part. So now imagining part is, of course, it is happening by the entrepreneurs, or maybe it is happening by the business owners, or it is happening by some managers in a business or a company. So they think that it is better if we have an information system like this, right? Then next one is people develop information system. So there are people who develop the information systems as well. So whatever imagine should be developed. So development can be done by the people sometimes who imagine the system. If the imagination is done by a software developer, the development can be done by the same person. But if it is imagined by someone who is non-technical, and then it should be developed by someone having some technical nature. Then people support information systems. So there are people who support. That means once it is developed, the developed system is going to be supported by another set of people. So that is what you call people support information systems. People use information systems. So people are going to use information systems once it is supported and developed. So when you come to this, the people are involved in. So now if you take people support information systems, there are people also who use information systems, supportive and using people. The maker. So did you understand this concept? Is it clear up to now? Okay. So you can put in the chat if there is any kind of re-explanation needed. I can explain it again. Next. There are different groups of people in information systems. So as you see, this is again a set of people or different groups of people. And also when you move forward, again, you have different groups of people. So they are creators of information systems, people who do operations and administration, people who manage information systems, and users of information systems. So if you go from the beginning, you can see creators, people who are involved in designing, developing, managing information systems. Next one, once it is developed, now you go for the operationalization, right? You go for the operationalization. So operations and administration is done by another set of people. Another set of people are there to manage the information system. Operating and managing are two different things. And again, you have some users also who are using the system. That is at the least or lowest layer, people who are using the information system. Creators, operates, manages, uses. 4 categories. The creators of information systems, you can see. First group of people to be considered play a role in designing, developing, building information systems. Then, first group of people. So that is the creators of information systems. So first group of people to be considered playing a role. So they design, develop, build. And also they have a technical background. Without a technical background, it is not possible to design, develop, or build information systems. So they should be having the technical background in programming, analysis, information security, database design. Okay. So now we come to this creators. So these are the people who are doing this designing, developing, building, and they should have these skills. And those people are specifically, these are the people who are doing that. So I actually showed you the skill set they should have, what they do, and these are actually the people who do it. So we have system analysts, programmers or developers, software engineers, system engineers, and network engineers. 5 categories of people are there. So we call them the creators of information systems. We will be starting with the system analyst. So, okay, so if you take, it is in a certain order. Right? System analyst is the one who first interacts with this or starts this system development. Afterwards, the programmer or the developer will be having the next responsibility in developing it. And then we come to the software engineer, then systems engineer, and then the network engineer. So first we'll move on to the system analyst. So we have to identify the business needs and imagining a new or a redesigned system to fulfill those needs. Just give me 1 minute. Okay, so now we come to the system analyst role. Identifying, so what it should do? Identifying business needs and imagining a new or redesigned system to fulfill those needs. So that is what we call the first task. Identifying the business needs and imagining a new or redesigned system to fulfill those needs. Works with a team or a department. So he will be working as a team, in a team, right? In the project team mainly. Then identify business requirements and analyze the specific details of an existing system. So we'll just try to now first read this entire thing before I start explanation. Once you read it, I will just re-explain it in a different manner. Right. So let's discuss it in this slideshow. Right now, let's see what kind of a role this business or the system analyst plays in a system development scenario. So let's say this is a business, a supermarket. So I will put SM here. And here we have the owner of the supermarket, the business owner. And he has a set of people who are working under the supermarket chain or the supermarket itself. You can say the first one is the inventory manager, the accountant. Then you have here we have these supermarkets cashiers. These are the people who are working under him. So supermarket, the business owner, and the staff. So let's say this supermarket is still being built. It is not running now. It is just being formed yet. So therefore, since it is formed from the beginning, still it is not selling goods. So the owner identifies, he identifies that it will be necessary to implement some information systems inside the supermarket to manage its data and operations. Now, can you tell me what kind of information systems will be necessary to be implemented in this kind of a supermarket environment? Any idea? Anyone who can just tell me?
ERP system.
ERP system. ERP is going to be really relevant for a large organization. So as a supermarket, if you take, I'm just mentioning only the supermarket store and its warehouse and those things, not the big office or a factory. So therefore, we will not consider ERPs for this. Anything else that you can suggest? Right. So what is happening in a supermarket? So they're selling goods. Once you go to the supermarket, you can see the only system that you can see there when you just move in is the point of sales or the transaction processing system or the point of sales counters computer. So you can see the TPS or transaction processing system there. So it will need this transaction system in order to record the transaction and billing. So anyway, you will get a bill produced by the system and you can even pay from your credit card, and it is also going to scan things from the barcode reader and insert it into the bill processing. Next, inventory management. So next one is managing the inventory. Because the supermarket is having a stock of goods that should be managed in the background. So you have the inventory management system available as well. Then it might have, again, an accounting system which is going to record the debit and credit entries that are happening when you are purchasing goods for the supermarket, or when the business owner is going to purchase goods for the supermarket, and when he's just gaining cash. To record all these things, it should be having an accounting system, and it is a requirement for the government. It is a requirement of the government to manage these kind of an accounting system within a supermarket. Therefore, let's take these few systems, right? These systems will be necessary in order to manage these systems will be necessary in order to manage the supermarkets operations and data for the moment, right? These systems might not be enough, but we will just discuss only these three. So when there's a requirement to create these set of systems, the business owner, this is the business owner, he is going to contact a software development firm. He's going to contact a software development firm in order to develop these systems. Now, if you take an inventory management system or an accounting system, even sometimes transaction procedure, they can buy off the shelf. So this person can buy it from the current market. But in case the entire process of the software or entire process of the supermarket is different from the conventional supermarkets, then you cannot fulfill your requirement by the systems available in the supermarket, available in the software market. In that case, you have to purchase, you have to just create it from the beginning. I hope you got it right. So mainly now, if you take the supermarket, if the processes happening within the supermarket are unique, so sometimes the available software systems which are categorized under transaction processing, inventory management, accounting management in the software market might not cater to the needs of the business owner or the supermarket. In that case, you'll have to develop the system from the scratch, or you have to develop system from the beginning, or specifically for the supermarket itself. In that case, the business owner or the manager of the firm or if of the supermarket will have to contact a software development firm, right? Software development firm. So I'll put SD here, software development firm, in order to get this task done. Right? So therefore, you'll have to. So this person will go to this software development firm to get this particular systems developed. Now, who are the people that you have in this software development firm? Who is going to develop the software? Yes. Who will develop the software? Any idea? Software developers or software engineers are here who are going to develop the software. Software engineers or software developers. I will put SD, and this is software development firm or software development company. Now, when you take the software developer or software engineer, what kind of a degree program or what kind of courses that this person follows? They follow technical kind of courses. So if you take a curriculum of a degree program that offers BSc in information technology, BSc in computer science. So if you look at the curriculum, you can see that there are, most of the time, there are technical subjects like programming, then database development or database design and development, system analysis and design, then object-oriented programming, artificial intelligence-based subjects like automata and ontology based subjects, and also project management. Those are the certain technical subjects that these software engineers or software developers possess. After the degree program, they are going to get connected to a software development firm, or they are going to be developing programs in a freelancing manner. So if this person is connected to the software development firm, now this business owner comes and now tries to get his work done in the from the software development firm. But the problem is there's a specific knowledge gap between this software developer and the business owner or the client. We'll call him the client, right? So client and the software developer, they have knowledge gap. Why? There's a gap because the software developer, if he is new to this field, he is not knowing anything about accounting. He do not know anything about inventory management. He also do not know anything about transaction processing. In such a situation, it is not possible for the software developer to directly start developing the system. So did you understand up to this point? Is it clear? You can put something in the chat if you have any questions. And if you have understood it now, up to now, you can just put a message in the chat that you have understood it. Or you can say, okay. Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Now, once it is done, once this client and once the software developer are trying to interact, it is going to be something not understandable for the software developer in some situations. In that situation, what will happen? Here, the system analyst should come in the middle, who is going to take certain things that are mentioned by the client and convert it into a form that is understandable by the software developer. Whatever software developer says, which should be communicated back to the client, also is done through the business system analyst. So this process is going on for the business system analyst. The reason, because this person is expertised in these areas: transaction processing, inventory management, accounting systems. So this business system analyst or system analyst, his role is to understand very well what is happening at the client side and translate it into a form that is understandable by the system developer or software engineer. Once it is understood, he can start developing. And anything that he don't understand will be clarified with the system analyst. And system analyst, if he can't understand something, he will contact the client and get some clarifications. And this is the intermediary or the middle layer that is going to let this development progress without much issue. So who can be a business system analyst now? Now let's say the accounting, you can see there's an accounting package, right? Accounting system. If the accounting system is to be developed, the business system analyst should be knowing about accounting. So he should know about accounting, he should know about inventory management, he also should know about transaction processing. So even some companies hire chartered accountants, even some companies hire the CIMA completed professionals. So they hire him. So because they know that it will be advantageous in these kind of situations to cater to the knowledge gap between the system uh, developer and the client. So the system developer analysis, not only that, he has a lot of things to do. Right now, we can go to the lesson again and try to understand the main concepts. So now you can read it. Nakirban. Okay, so if you go through this now, you will be having a picture of what I did, what I explained. You can see identifying business needs. So as I told you that there's a knowledge gap between the system developer and the client. So to fill this knowledge gap, because the system developer do not have any domain knowledge. The domain can be human resource domain, sales domain, domain about education domain, retail sales domain. So different domains are there. So this domain knowledge is special. The domain knowledge is not there with the system developer. So therefore, there should be some expertise personnel who is going to extract the knowledge from the customer side and translate it into a form that is understandable by the system developer. In such situations, system analyst is the one who is going to do that. You can see identifying business needs and imagining a new or redesigned system to fulfill those needs. What do you understand by this? So first of all, the system analyst should identify what kind of a thing is necessitated or what kind of a thing or business need or what kind of a requirement is there for the business. Imagining a new or redesigned system. So based on this necessity, the system analyst can imagine a new system or redesign the system if there is an existing one, or remove this existing system and put a brand new one after imagination. So that's what it is. So he can, if the system is not there in already, it is possible to imagine it or just visualize the system, or you can redesign the existing one with addressing the different flaws of it, and also you can completely remove the existing system and then remove the existing system and just apply or just substitute a new one. Now we can see anyway, this system analyst will have to work in a team. What is the team? Even though I just put a one person here, a team is going to develop this software. When one person is not able to handle this development, so there may be many people who are involved in this development, not just a one person. So therefore, this development is going to be done in a team. So system analyst is part of that team. So this person is a part of that team. So that is what it says. This person works as a team. Identify business requirements and analyze the specific details of an existing system or a system that needs to be built. So they identify business requirements and analyze the specific details of an existing system. So what it says, identify business requirements and analyze the specific details of an existing system. So if there are an existing system, they will analyze it. So analyst is required to have a good understanding of the business itself. That's why I told you this analyst should always cooperate with these people, right? Cooperate with these people in the client side and get what kind of a system should be built. So that is another thing that we should be concerned of. So analysts should always cooperate and get the idea of what is happening out of the business. So this cooperation is something essential to be carried out, because to understand the entire business very well, this kind of a communication should be happening throughout. So that is what is it. Analysis is required to have a good understanding of the business itself, the purpose of the business and the business process involved, and the ability to document them well. The analyst identifies the different stakeholders. The stakeholders are the people who are interested. The people who are interested in the system development. And also works to involve appropriate individuals in the analysis process. So that is the task of the system analyst, who is going to identify the different users and the different users of the information system, and then users and stakeholders. So stakeholders are not only users. Stakeholders mean the customer, or the client, the business owner, the managers. Sometimes managers might not use the system. The system is for, so if you take the transaction processing system, it is for the cashier. But manager is a stakeholder of it. So there can be stakeholders who are actually managers, directors, the business owner or the CEO or the chairman, Then end users like cashiers, operational level managers, all these are going to be stakeholders. So the analysts identify the different stakeholders in the system. So once they identify the stakeholders, the system is going to be a matter for them because they are interested in the system's functionality and its development. So therefore, the system analyst's task is to, or his objective is mainly to identify the, so to identify the stakeholders and incorporate them into this analysis process, because the system analysts have to get data or information from these whole stakeholders to identify the real business requirement. So now it's like this. So if you just only contact the managers and if you omit the directors, sometimes directors also have some concerns about the system, which they should express to the system analyst. So the system can be built in that way. So all the information should properly be investigated. All the business processes and all the business functions currently that are running in the business should be investigated and analyzed by the system analyst. What will happen if he doesn't do that properly? The software developer, now after analyzing this information, something called software requirement specification document is going to be created, which is going to be signed off by both parties. And if it is having some unwanted or irrelevant requirements, and even if it is having wrong requirements, now the software developer will keep on building something that is not necessary by the customer. So whatever is being developed will not be demanded by the customer. In that case, it will be rejected by the customer at the end of the day after a great effort. After a long period of effort, maybe you develop, maybe the software development firm is going to build it for several months, maybe 8 to 9 months. After that much of time period, if something comes out without, if something is being released without any interest for the customer, without giving any interest for the customer, that will be a disaster. So therefore, it is necessary always to develop a product that is having the interest of the stakeholders. That is why you should contact all the stakeholders and do it. If not, the project might be a failure and not accepted. Now we come to system analyst. Prior to analyzing the problem or the system of concern, the analyst needs to clearly identify the problem, gain approval for the project, identify the stakeholders, develop a plan to monitor the project. So these are the things the system analyst must perform before analyzing the problem. So what is a problem here? You can see before, so every word matters, right? Prior to analyzing the problem or the system of concern. You can see now analysts need to clearly identify the problem, the same problem here, and gain approval for the project. Identify the stakeholders. That was we discussed before, the stakeholders we had to identify. And develop a plan to monitor the project. What is the problem here? The problem is, of course, something prevalent in an organization. If you don't have a problem, you don't want to develop a software. The software is being developed to solve a problem which persists in an organization or which exists in an organization. For example, now let's say a supermarket, if it is not having a point of sale system or a transaction point system, you can imagine the situation. if the supermarket owner, if the cashiers of the supermarket is going to produce bills using the manual handwritten method, so you can just collect things to the shopping cart and then go to the cashier. So cashier will be writing down whatever you have bought to the cashier, whatever you have brought to the cashier, and one by one he will have to, or he or she will have to note down and calculate the total bill, which will take a lot of time. So that consumes your time and that consumes your money. So that is really inefficient, and that is the problem. The inefficiency in the manual process is the problem. Because of that, we are going to develop a solution for that. So analyze the problem in the problem of the organization. For example, as I told you, the inefficiency of operations in the supermarket if there is no any point of sale systems. So you can see prior to analyzing the problem or the system of concern, the analyst needs to clearly identify the problem, gain approval for the project, identify the stakeholders, develop a plan to monitor the project. So now I hope you got what the project is. So once the project is, once the problem is identified. So I hope you understood what the problem is. So once the problem is identified, right? Once it is identified, you can gain approval for the project. You can get the approval. The approval should be taken from the managers. Then you have to identify the stakeholders as well. The stakeholders is identified in the previous one, and also there should be plans to develop and monitor the project. So the analysis phase of the project can be broken down into 5 steps. So the analysis phase of the project can be broken down into 5 steps like this. So first one is, now this is analysis phase. Seek out and identify the details. Specify requirements. Decide which requirements are most important. Create a dialogue showing how the user interacts with the existing system. And ask users to critique the list of requirements. So now this is data collection, right? This part is called collecting data of the existing system or the business or from the stakeholders. You have to collect a lot of data to understand the particular requirement of the organization and understand its problem. So once you collect the data, you can understand the problem, and then you can define what kind of a system is necessitated or what kind of system is necessary. Right? What kind of system is necessary for this organization. Then out of these requirements, for example, the requirement specification looks like something like now, let's say, if you are developing a requirement specification for inventory management system. So you can specify the requirements. It should be insert products. Then insert product categories. Then delete products. also search products. Then calculate pre-order levels. Maintain supplier data. So these are the requirements, or we call them functional requirements of a project, or the functional requirement of a certain software. So these are the functional requirements of a software. Now, out of these functional requirements, you can decide what are the most important stuff. Why do you do that? So let's say the first 4 may be really important. Last 2 may be not that important. The reason is certain features you might need without any delay. You might need it in the next month. You might need it as the first deliverables of the project. So you just specify it. So you can just mark it down. These things must be made. Sometimes, so that is for the priority order. So you need something faster. So you need some features faster. Later, you can accept the other features. So you can just let the client decide what are the things that might be necessary. So you can say, we can deliver these features of this product within 3 months, and these 2 features can be provided after another 2 months, mean 5 months time, like that. So you can just specify your particular client that based on his requirements, these things can be delivered in this time frame. Another thing is, if you have a lot of requirements, there's a chance that the cost of the software development is going to be exceeding the budgets. In that case, you can cut down certain unnecessary functional requirements. You can cut down unnecessary functional requirements. So that is why you decide what are the most important. So you can prioritize them. Create a dialogue showing how the user interacts with the existing system. So that means now if there's an existing system, you have to write down how the current users are going to interact with it. There can be an old system or developed. So with that old system, how do people interact? Ask users to critique the list of requirements that have been developed. So ask users to critique the list of requirements that have been developed. So why the users are going to critique it? Users are the people who knows how to, what they want. So if the system analyst develops something as he or she understands, that should be shown to the users, because based on that the system is going to be developed. So if you show it to the users, users will comment it. So whatever the system analyst has predicted, whatever the system analyst has guessed or decided might be wrong, or might not be the one that is really necessitated by the user. In that case, the users can give comments to the particular. So users can give comments to the what you call the to this set of requirements, list of requirements. So that can be changed based on the user's opinions. So that will be anyway giving the particular system analyst some idea what the user actually needs. So that is why you process it and give it. And these are the 5 steps. Find out the details, specify the requirements, decide what are the most important, and also just create some ways the user is going to interact with this system, and also ask the users to just do some or give some comments on the system requirements that the system analyst has developed. So in this analysis phase, when it goes on, it includes the users and the system analysts. These people are the people who will understand the system collaboratively. System analysts will get the understanding of the business functions. Users will get an understanding what kind of system they are going to get at the end of the day after the system is being developed. Right? System analysis phase involves both system analysts and the users. It is important to realize the role of users take in this analysis of the system. So it is really important that users are going to take a big role, because users are the people who are going to ultimately, so users are the people who are going to use it ultimately. So they know what they want. That's why we connect the users into this system analysis phase. Then users can have significant insight into how well the current system functions, as well as suggest improvements. So if there's a current system, they know how it operates, and they can guide the system analyst on how to develop it and also suggest improvements. So the data collection and data analysis should be done. Data collection can be done by gathering information about system using organization chart, observations. You can interview users. That is how we can collect data. Data analysis. Analyzing information to determine the effectiveness and efficiency of current system and no requirements for new or modified systems. So once the requirements are determined, the analyst begins the process of translating these requirements into an information system design. So anyway, it should be finalized. The requirement should be finalized after the collaboration of users and the system analysts and any other stakeholders. And then after it is being finalized, now it is the time to convert it into a form that can be understood by the developer. Right? So developer should be able to understand it once it is being converted into a form that is in a standard with the standard notation. So you may have heard of UML, Unified Modeling Language. UML is used to notate or just show certain data or certain diagrams which are relevant for the design of the system. So there's a language called UML. I will show you what UML means. So using this unified modeling language, it is possible to design the system. The system analyst sometimes may know how to do it using the unified modeling language. Right? UML is created by certain people to make sure that no ambiguous information is being transferred between different team members within a same project, because UML is going to be communicating the information in a one or in a single, what you call communicating information in a unified way, which is not having any ambiguity. So ambiguous nature means it is not going to be telling, or it is not going to support the development, because one software engineer understand it in one way, another software engineer will understand it in a different way. In that situation, it is difficult to just communicate something in a unique manner if you don't use something like this. So now, if I go to the slides again, the analysis phase and system analyst, once the requirements are determined, the analyst begins the process of translating these requirements into information system design. So this design is done using, most of the time, using UML diagrams. It is important to understand which different technologies or solutions will work, and previously several alternatives to the client, provide several. So that means now when you take a solution, now this before this translation of this requirement into a solution or to a design, sometimes before doing that, it might be necessary to contact the business owner or the client and convince him with the available solutions, because sometimes there is no any single solution for a problem. So problem like now, if you take the same solution can be given by using different technologies, right? Can be given by different money or different levels of costs, and also can be uh, having some influences from the culture like this. So these things is some kind of a matter. This is a problem. Because it is some kind of problem, it is going to be necessary for the system analyst to present the available solutions or alternatives to the client. So client is going to select one solution out of these provided solutions. So even the system manager should describe these solutions to the client as well. Once a solution is selected, the analyst will create a detailed document describing the new system. So you can see the analyst will get a detailed document. The new document will require that the analyst understand how to speak in technical language of system developers. So system analyst is a technical person as well. He should know, or he or she should know how to speak in the technical language for the system developers also. So now we come to the design phase. Even sometimes the system design is sometimes proceeded by the system analyst, and also the system architect is going to, and also the system developer and the system architect will also always collaboratively assist in developing the system design. Now we come to certain artifacts. Artifacts mean some documents which are generated when the system is being designed. Number one, entity relationship diagrams. So ERDs are going to be used to design databases. So you can go through this. So ERD, data flow diagram, and used to model the entities in the system and flow of data. So this is ERD is used to model the entities in the system. What are entities? Entities mean the different components that you are interested in holding information about. And also this is used to mark the flow of data with the system. Now this one provides a visual representation of the data movement in an organization. So they will show the visual representation of data movement. Decision table and trees. Or decision trees. Useful for identifying procedures and summarizing the decision-making process for one step. So for different or multiple steps or multiple activities or tasks, you will have to write multiple decision tables. Okay, have a look at this. This is a decision table. It is not that much clear. This is a decision table. This is a data flow diagram. Decision table is going to give some guidance how certain decisions are taken based on some conditions, or how some actions are done based on some conditions. Then data flow diagram. Data flow diagram is showing how the data is going to flow from one location to another. This is called a class in object-oriented programming, but we will not discuss about them. This is called a use case diagram, and these are the use cases, and this is called an actor. These both are from UML diagrams. UML, both of them are UML diagrams used to design the system. Right. Next one is design the user interface. User interface is can be mobile user interface, or it can be a desktop based user interface. This is a mobile window, so we have designed it as well. So designing can be how the data is going to flow between certain entities, the database, and also the systems operations can be designed, and systems classes can be designed. All these are system design, and it is also sometimes done by the system analyst and sometimes done by the software engineer. So to become a system analyst, we should be having some background in both the business analyst and in the system design. Many analysts first work as developers and have business experience before becoming system analysts. And also it is vital for analysts to clearly understand the purpose of the business of interest. And also you have to remember that most of the businesses are unique, so you cannot just take the experience of you can take, but always make sure that it is always it is necessary to make sure these for this business system analyst to identify the unique requirements of a business. Sometimes whatever you develop for a one organization will not be working in another. So these customizations are going to matter. Now we come to the next section. So up to now, did you understand the concepts? Clear? Okay, I hope it is clear for you. Now we have finished the discussion of system analyst. So you can become system analyst if you need, because system analysts always do not need any technical knowledge, but at a certain level it should be there, but you can adapt to that technical knowledge if you need actually. So most of the organizations sometimes now you saw that when creating an accounting information system, it might be necessary to hire an accountant, or it might be necessary to hire someone who is having that knowledge on accounting in order to make sure that you can the system developer can get the necessary knowledge to create the accounting system. Now we come to the next, programmer or developer. Programmers spend their time writing computer code in a programming language. So what they do is they develop programs. So once the specification is given from the system analyst or the designer, then the programmer is going to develop it. Programmer will develop it using a selected technology. So technology is all inclusive of this programming language, and the platform that you are using, like Windows or Linux kind of a platform can be used, or Mac, Apple based computers. And also it might be necessary to use certain frameworks like .NET framework. So the language also is going to depend on whatever the framework or the platform that you select. So things like Java, C#, C, C++. So this programmer should know one of these or few of these languages. That will be an advantage if you know few of them. And also they should be able to understand the complex process that is happening in certain businesses. So they should understand the complex process that is happening in some businesses as well. Now we come to next, software engineer. So what is the difference between programmer or developer and software engineer? Today or nowadays, we don't have such a big difference. Even nowadays, we call software engineers as system developers also. Both are having the same role. Earlier, there was a difference so that software engineers, they were having specialized, deeper knowledge on certain areas like operating systems, mathematics, databases, networking, like, so they had specialized knowledge. Nowadays, it is not there anymore. So nowadays, this software develop, there's no any kind of classification like software developer and software engineer. Both are called software engineers most of the time. So you can see the three primary skill areas are computer science, engineering, and mathematics. So nowadays we don't find this big difference. Systems engineer or infrastructure engineers, what they do. Now, system analyst is the one who is interfacing with the client and just deriving information. Then he comes with this information and gives the design to the software developer, where the software developer is going to build the system. Once the system is built, the system engineer is going to just deploy the system and configure it and set it up in an organization and make it in a smooth, make it configure it to be operated in a smoother manner. So systems engineer will take the hardware and also the software and combine them and let it operate without any disturbance. So system engineer is also a highly paid and highly stressed job because they should be sometimes available all the time. So even they have to be on call because if something goes wrong in certain systems, they have to answer and respond. And also it might be necessary to have, because certain systems are running 24/7. So some people are working on shifts, right? Some people come work at the night and some people, so once the people who work at the night go home, then for the next day shift, people are coming or visiting. So this system engineering job is, or this post or this career path or this career is sometimes a restless career. That means it is necessary always to be be available himself for troubleshooting and emergencies. So you can see a system engineer takes the component designed by other engineers. Other engineers means software engineers and hardware engineers, and makes them work all together, focusing on the integration and hardware and software. Integration of hardware and software. For example, to build a computer, the motherboard, processor, and all memory and hard disk all have to work together. So system engineer has experience with many different types of hardware and software. So he has now, if you take system engineer, he might have worked with Windows. He might have worked with Linux. He might have worked with Apple computers or Apple or Mac operating systems. So they have different experience on different systems. So next we come to network engineer. The network engineer understands the networking requirements of an organization and then designs communication system to meet those needs using the network hardware and software, sometimes referred to as a network operating system. So what is the network operating system? So in our computers, we are running Windows desktop version. But for large organizations, if there are many computers which are connected to a server, the server is sometimes should be equipped with a server operating system or network operating system. Windows Server is one of those network operating systems. Then Linux also has some network operating features available, and Unix is a pure network operating system. Then these network operating systems are assisting the network managers or network engineer to manage the entire set of computers within the organization. So you can, the network engineer can create user accounts. He can just audit whatever is there in these machines. They can install software from one single point and also expose some services. Right? Everything can be done in a single point. So network engineer is the one who is going to design the network and also implement this server environment and maintain it. You can read it. The network engineer understands the networking requirements of an organization. Right? So the network operating system can, so you have to understand what is network operating system. So it's like Windows Server, Unix. So they will just create these local layer networks and wide layer networks. So normally they most of the time deal with local layer network within the organization. Next we come to the next group of people. Information systems, operations and administration. The people who are doing this operations and administration of information systems. So the previous two sets of people are people who create information systems and just try to configure them. So this group is going to investigate the people who are going to operate. So they are actually involved in day-to-day operations. So these people must be there to keep the system running and up to date so that the rest of the organization can make the most effective use of these resources. So these are the people who are going to actually make these systems available for other users in the organization. So you can see computer operator, database administrator, help desk support analyst and train. So now first we'll try to come up with the computer operator or system manager. So when you come to this system engineer, the system engineer is going to set up the system. And after it is been set up, he is not going to be there anymore. So computer operator or the system manager is going to look after the system. He's the one who is going to overlook the system and do the different updates, create accounts, and do all these things inside the organization. He's going to just check if enough memory is there to run the applications. He's going to check if enough hard disk space is there to run the future applications. He will check also whether the system is outdated, so he will update the system. And also we provide redundancy. Redundancy means now if the power failure happens, or if the internet connectivity is not going to be there using the primary connection, then if the database is not going to be available, so you should this operator, the computer operator should always make sure that there are backup plans. So if the electricity is not there, there should be redundant electricity source, maybe a generator, maybe a UPS. If the operations of the organization is critical, and if it is not acceptable to have any outages of the system, this computer operator is the person who is going to make things smoothly running by providing redundancy links, redundancy electricity, like redundancy of electricity power sources, and connectivity, and also database backups. So you can see keeping the operating system up to date, ensuring available memory and disk space, providing for redundancy on electricity, connectivity to internet and database backups, and also overseeing the physical environment of the computer. That means this person also should oversee the physical environment. That means He should check if there are thieves around. He should check if the air conditioning is enough for the particular servers. He should check if the thieves are around. He should check if there are possible leakages of water into the compartment where these servers are, and it should check in the flooding situation what could happen to the servers. All these things she should investigate and make sure that nothing is going to be wrong whenever those kind of disasters happen. That is why this person is having. So sometimes even we call this person system engineer, right? Not computer operator. We call these people sometimes nowadays we call them system engineers or infrastructure engineers, even though we call them computer operator in this book that we have taken. So I have put included whatever is in the book, but I have put additional names as well, additional wordings also or terms also, in order to make sure that you are not going to be using the outdated terms. Certain things are outdated. Since the mainframe computers increasingly have the replace with servers, storage management systems, and other platforms, computer operators' jobs have grown broader and include working with these specialized systems. So you can see mainframe computers, they are now, we don't use much of the mainframe computers, so they are, instead of them, servers are being used. So the computer operators job has increased drastically because these server computers are less expensive than mainframe, so that can be used by many organizations, but you need a computer operator to make it up and running. So this has become a widely available job or job opportunity for most of the people. Next, we come to the database administrator. So before coming to the database administrator, we have discussed what a database is. A database is a structured arrangement of data that are used to store the data generated out of transactions or certain operations. Now, for example, if you take, now let's discuss about the supermarket system itself. So if you think about supermarket management system, the supermarket is, now when you go to the supermarket, you can see that not the one that we discussed, but the one that we visit. If you take Kiel Super Cargills, when you go there, you are collecting some goods to the shopping cart. When you are coming to the cashier's counter, and you just put all these things, or you unload everything to the cashier, and once it is unloaded, they will keep on scanning every item against a barcode reader, and the barcodes will be recorded down. So barcodes will be used to input the data into the system. So now after this, you can get a bill processed from the supermarket, and after that, now do you think the data is there or not? Now the data that you have composed, I mean the data that is generated because of you. Now let's say you buy certain things. Let's say you buy two bars of soap and one toothpaste. Now let's say you, in your bill, you can see that 2 bars of soaps and toothpaste is printed in the bill, and now you have that information, and does the supermarket also has it or not? Supermarket also has it, because they are, anyway, they need to maintain it for their future legal requirements, and also they should maintain it for analysis purpose. They have to use it for analysis purpose. They should maintain it for future requirements. Right? So like that, it should be maintained in that way. So that data that is maintained in the supermarkets point of sales system is maintained in database. So ultimately it is going to be stored in database, and that is what is managed by the database administrator. So whatever you have as a software is having a database at the background. Certain softwares are not going to have a database, but most of them are going to have a database. So even if you take many of the applications that you see today, even in the web, you can see there are databases available, because if you take Gmail, Facebook, the data that you insert to them at the time you register is still there. That means they are stored in a database somewhere. So database is the permanent structured storage mechanism that is used to store the data. So we can see database administrator is the person who designs and manages the databases for an organization. Designs and manages. He is the person who designs it. When he designs it, he is going to design it using entity relationship diagrams, ERDs. Because entities are the items of interest the system is going to store the data, or the client is interested in storing. And also, this person creates and maintains databases that are used as part of the application or the data warehouse. So this person creates and maintains databases that are used as part of the application or data warehouse. So what is data warehouse? Okay, first we'll discuss. This person creates and maintains databases that are used as part of applications. Data warehouse is not an operational database. It is a special database that is used to store the historical data, which are in a clean format to be taken for analysis purpose. So now it is not a operational database. So if you take the database in the transaction process system, data warehouse is not something like that. It is not getting updated. Right? It is only having the historical or old data, which are sent at a periodical manner. So let's say after this month, and you will send all the relevant and correct records to the data warehouse. So data warehouse is going to store these records and give it for certain applications for analysis purpose. So DBA also consults with the system analysts and programmers on projects that require access to or the creation of databases. The DB also consults with system analysts and programmers. So because the database administrator cannot work on his own, because this person is going to create the database for the systems that are going to be developed by the system analysts and programmers. So this person will have to contact these two groups of people in order to design and develop a database, which is going to be used by this system analysts and programmers when they are developing the system. Then next we come to help desk support analyst. The help desk support analyst is someone who is going to support the users of an organization when they are using technical things or technical, when they are using technical kind of things that are in technical nature. So we call them the help desk assistant or support analyst. So these are not very technical people. So they are not technically sound people, but they will always assist in others on how to do something technical. Then we come to the trainer. Okay, first read this one entirely. Okay. So once you read it, now let's go to the trainer. Trainer is someone who is going to train these people. Now, the amount of requests coming to the help desk is going to be reduced if you introduce a trainer, because trainer is going to train on how to use the new system or how to use a new technology. So trainers are going to be sometimes independent. Trainers are going to be sometimes attached to the organization itself, or maybe trainers are going to be attached to the training organization. So the organization that is going to hire the trainers have to pay the organization or the trainer, or if the trainer is inside the organization itself, then that might be sometimes easier. But the only only problem is the trainer has to be paid even at the times there is no any technological training. So there are maybe some budget concerns on that. Next, we come to the group of people who are managing the information system. The management of information system functions is critical for the success of the implementation of information system within organizations. So the first role is CIO, the Chief Information Officer. Is the head of the information system function. Is the head who is going to be the one who is really, it is management role. He don't want to be having technical skills as well. He is the coordinator of the entire infrastructure, information infrastructure. So he is the responsible person for the information infrastructure, as well as he is the coordinator for just having this what do you call, he's actually the coordinator for coordinating the operations of the information technology department with other departments and other group management groups. The person aligns the plans and operations of the information system with the strategic goals and organization. So the organization has some strategic goals, and these strategic goals can be investigated and align these the information systems operations and configurations, and the planning can be aligned with the strategic goals. So that will be letting the organization reach strategic goals much more faster and easier. So the things that he should do, maybe budgeting, strategic planning, personal decisions for information system function, these things he'll have to do anyway. So he is going to be the first in to face the IT department, or he's the one who represents the IT department within the organization. And also this person should be having good management skills as well. Next one is the Chief Information Officer. He's the head of the, sorry, next one is the functional manager. The functional manager is going to be someone who is working on a certain function. So functions, if you take, there are functions like, so if I just list down some functions here. So we have sales function, marketing, finance, human resources, production or manufacturing. These are the different functions. So these functional areas have managers. And in some of these functional areas, you have information technology. And these functional managers should use this information technology or monitor the information technology see on how to check how these operations are happening on those areas. Okay. So it should be investigated. So that's what we call a functional manager. So you can see, for example, in large organization, there are a group of system analysts who report to the manager of the system analyst function. System analyst is also a function. And these are also sales function, marketing function, finance. You can see that. Then ERP management is again done by a management group or a manager who is maintaining ERP systems, enterprise resource planning systems. So these people should make sure that the ERP system is up to date, configured properly, and just reflecting changes done in different organizations. When the change is happening in one place, it is propagated to other departments. These things should be checked and managed. Then project managers. Project managers are the people who actually manage the projects, because a software project should be managed in a way that it will not exceed the budget, that it will not exceed the time. If the project manager is not going to play a vital role on his duty, then that means now if he is not managing the resources accordingly, what will happen? Because now in a project, there are several people working, like software developers. Those people are going to work in a project. Then these software developers sometimes can do several activities at the same time, and sometimes another software developer might have to wait until another one completes it, because the one software developer may not be able to start his work until another one completes and gives us the chance, like this. So there are certain things that can happen, which might lead to extend the delivery date of the project. The extension of deadlines of the project will sometimes impose bad consequences on the organization. The reason is sometimes there are some agreements. If the software development company fails to give the project on time, there may be delays. There may be some delays. If there are some delays, the software development company will have to pay a penalty to the customer, right? So that can happen. So it says in the agreement, if the software project is not delivered on this date, a penalty should be paid, or a fine should be paid of this amount, or 10% of the entire project cost. So the entire, it will be a big amount, right? So if the project is going to be 20 million, 10% is going to be 2 million. So that will be, of course, a big amount of money. So always the project manager's ambition and his or her objective should be to finish the development of the project and give it on time by managing the resources and managing the budgets without letting the budgets overflow. So if a project fails, that will be a big disaster for the company, because next time the projects will not be handed over to be completed. So therefore, it is necessary always to make sure the projects are going to happen without any issue. Then information security officer is another role that is going to secure the data of the organization, because data should not be viewed by certain parties within the organization. Certain department data. So if you take human resource department, it has payment information and personal information, and that department data should not be viewed by other department users. Those restrictions, as well as also if external hackers are going to hack into the internal computers of the organization, if they are going to look into this data, that will be also a problem. So to avoid those kind of things, the information security officer is going to be there to avoid such things from happening, right? He will be trying to manage those kind of situations. So other roles in information systems. So you can see data analysis and business intelligence specialist. So there are some other roles like data analysts and business intelligence specialists, who are new job roles in the market, who are going to analyze the data in these information systems, and also the business intelligence specialists are going to find out special data that will be improving the operations of the business. And also many companies are hiring social media experts for performing their marketing campaigns and develop mobile applications. Also, they hire mobile technology specialists. And also, since most of the organizations are based on cloud services, so these cloud services are very popular in most of the organizations. So they are going to even hire people who are expertise in cloud computing and also people who are expertise in virtual machines. So these things I don't have time to explain much, but you can just go through, and if you have any question, you can ask, right? So the final group is the users. So there are many users like innovators, early adopters, early majority, late majority, and laggards or laggards. Innovators are the people who are actually adopting to the uh, technology faster with taking some risks. Laggards are the people who are really high in their age limit, and also they are not really keen on learning a new technology. In between, you have these three people. Gradually, they are keen on in technology is going down. But if you go up, they are able to learn technology, and keenness on technology is very right. So that's all I have to do for today. Next, again, we will meet again using Zoom tomorrow. Right? So tomorrow I might have to play a recording because I have another appointment at that time. But at the end of the lesson, I will be joining for your questions, right? And so tomorrow, most of the time, I might have to play a recording on my lesson, which is on system development. And you can note down any questions that is available and ask at the end of the lesson. And
Thank you.
you're welcome. So I'll be giving my email address to all of you, so you can contact me this. And if you have any kind of concern, you can let me know. If you didn't understand anything, or if there is any kind of uh, questions that you need to ask, you can just contact me via this. This is my personal email address, not the official one. So you can just get to me through this one. And thank you very much for your participation. We'll meet again tomorrow, possibly through a recording, and also I'll be joining meanwhile.